Lesson 4, Marxism Summary. Created by Vega, Nikki, Urquia, Sharon, CO, JMR. The Marxist approach to culture insists that texts and practices must be analyzed in relation to their historical conditions of production. Classical Marxism. Marx argues that each significant period in history is constructed around a particular mode of production, that is, the way in which a society is organized. In general terms, each mode of production produces specific ways of obtaining the necessaries of life, specific social relationships between workers and those who control the mode of production, and specific social institutions including cultural ones. A classical Marxist approach to popular culture insists that to understand and explain a text or practice, it must always be situated in its historic moment of production, analyzed in terms of the historical conditions that produced it. Althusserianism. The ideas of Louis Althusser have had an enormous influence on cultural theory and popular culture. Interventions and their consequent development are enormously formative for the field of cultural studies. According to Althusser 1969, a social formation consists of three practices: the economic, the political, and the ideological. He argues that if we are to fully understand the meaning of a text, we have to be aware of not only what is in a text but also the assumptions which inform it. Hegemony. Central to the cultural studies appropriation of Gramsci is the concept of hegemony. Hegemony is for Gramsci a political concept developed to explain the absence of socialist revolutions in the Western capitalist democracies. The concept of hegemony is used by Gramsci to refer to a condition and process in which a dominant class does not merely rule a society, but leads it through the exercise of intellectual and moral leadership. Although hegemony implies a society with a high degree of consensus, it should not be understood to refer to a society in which all conflict has been removed. Using hegemony theory, popular culture is what men and women make from their active consumption of the texts and practices of the culture industries. The concept of hegemony allows students of popular culture to free themselves from the disabling analysis of many of the previous approaches to the subject.
Post-Marxism and cultural studies.
According to Angela McRobbie, Marxism is no longer as influential in cultural studies. She explains that the return to a pre-postmodern Marxism is untenable, because the terms of that return are predicated on prioritizing economic relations and determinations over cultural and political relations by positioning in a mechanical and reflection role. To be post-Marxist is to leave behind Marxism for something better, whereas to be post-Marxist is to seek to transform Marxism by adding to it recent theoretical developments from, especially, feminism, postmodernism, post-structuralism, and Lacanian psychoanalysis.
Thank you for listening.